There truly is no name more revered in JRPGs than Hironobu Sakaguchi, the father of Final Fantasy and the reason that most of you are Final Fantasy fans in the first place. Unfortunately, back in the year 2004, Sakaguchi left Square Enix to start his own company, Mistwalker. And while fans have been pining for him to return to the series, Sakaguchi has been making brand new IPs, and honestly, between games like Lost Odyssey and The Last Story, and a bunch of other titles that sound vaguely like Final Fantasy, have all been pretty phenomenal. And now I'm super excited about his latest not Final Fantasy Final Fantasy. Of course, I'm talking about Fantasian, and we got a brand new update for it today as well. Not only that, but Hironobu Sakaguchi also indulged us a little bit about Final Fantasy, you know, like the actual Final Fantasy. Recently, he sat down with GameSpot and discussed one of Fantasian's biggest inspirations, Final Fantasy VI. Playing the game alongside his team, he said, quote, "It really brought me back and reminded me why I love the RPG genre so much. I went back to my roots into the pixel art era of RPGs and paid a lot of attention to that nostalgia element in the game's overall construction." And this would go on to be one of his biggest inspirations when working on Fantasian. Of course, one of the most fascinating things about this game is how they made the environments. You might look at this game and think, oh cool, Sakaguchi is going back to using pre-rendered backgrounds. How nostalgic to the PS1 era. But these aren't CG backgrounds. These are handmade dioramas, and the game uses over 150 of them to construct its entire world. And the result is something reminiscent of the old PS1 backgrounds, at least for me. I imagine this is a lot more budget friendly than, say, having a whole team of level designers and environmental artists, but it does have some drawbacks, with Sakaguchi saying, quote, "Once you commit to a design, there really isn't a lot of leeway in terms of changes. You might want to add a road here, maybe connect these two areas. That really isn't possible. So in the concepting phase, it's very important to have a clear vision of what it is you're trying to build and create as the environment." However, it seems to Sakaguchi there are more pros than cons, with him continuing by saying, quote, "When you construct these dioramas, seeing the actual objects in person can almost inspire and inform new gameplay or new elements in that you see how a house is constructed. Because the object is present, it gives you a different perspective on how the characters might be able to interact with the environment," which was kind of fresh. Sakaguchi also assures fans that even though, yes, this game is coming to mobile, it's been developed like a console game. First, we took an approach quite similar to how we might set up development for a console game. Dioramas aside, we used a lot of the same methods and the same kind of approach in developing the world. The feel and experience will be much closer to something you would expect to find on console in terms of immersion and interaction. And judging by the latest trailers released from the game, he is not kidding. And Sakaguchi isn't the only member of the dream team here. The legendary composer Nobuo Uematsu is also on board, composing the game's entire soundtrack, with Sakaguchi saying, quote, "Me and Uematsu-san being the age that we are, I think we're closer to the latter chapters of our game development careers. We've been talking quite a bit. And I don't mean this to say that Uematsu-san is going to quit composing music by any stretch of the imagination, but whether he takes on another entire game, he said this might be the last time he composes an entire game on his own. I think that because of that, he did pour a lot of his heart and soul into this. The fact that this game could be Uematsu's last full soundtrack is enough reason to check it out alone. And the most exciting thing about all this news is that the game is coming this year, 2021. However, the deal breaker for many of you is that even though this is going to be a full-length RPG, it's a mobile exclusive and more specifically exclusive to Apple devices. But also, it's very important to clarify that this isn't some sort of gacha or free-to-play game, but it's actually through Apple Arcade, which is almost like a mobile equivalent of Xbox Game Pass. You pay $5 a month and you get unlimited access to games with no microtransactions and no ads, which is honestly not bad, and you'll be able to check the game out for free given that there is a 1-month trial. The only catch is that you have to have an Apple device in order to play these games. So if you don't have an iPhone, iPad, or Mac, you're going to be out of luck. And that's really the catch with this system. Continuing one of the problems I have had with Mistwalker over the years is that they always put their games on platforms that most of their fans wouldn't care for. And that's usually because companies like Apple and Microsoft fund these games. So basically what I'm trying to say is, Sony, please, for the love of God, start funding some Mistwalker games. I mean, you're literally already paying for all these timed Final Fantasy exclusivity deals. What's one Mistwalker game gonna do for you? In either case, Ultima, I want to hear from you. Are you excited for Fantasian? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. Shout out to patron Accordial8 and the rest of the Ultima community.